The CEO behind the GTA trilogy calls out Rockstar's dick move for removing his studio's name. Multiple gaming TV shows are rumoured to star blockbuster actors, and Phil Spencer has confirmed Xbox will be making more consoles. All of this on today's TripleJump Gaming News. Hello, and welcome to the news. Ben, Ashton here.
Hello.
On this Friday, we've got 3 news stories to go through.
We do. I mean, a few of them are ones have not kind of stopped breaking this week in terms of old Phil Spencer, but we'll get to that later.
Phil is talking to literally everyone.
He's been talking to everyone, apart from us. How dare you, Phil?
Very rude.
But we're starting things off with the CEO of Grove Street Games, the studio who made the 2021 definitive edition of the GTA trilogy.
Yeah.
Which was well received. Bad game.
They made it bad.
Awful game. And he's a bit upset. He's been out on Twitter because with the big new update that happened this week, they removed Grove Street Games' logo off the splash screens at the beginning.
Yes.
And he's not happy about it.
See,
understandably.
I do understand. So there was basically a huge update that Rockstar pushed out this week, seemingly out of nowhere for the definitive edition that massively overhauls the lighting, fixes a load of bugs and stuff, which is seemingly, they've not really touched it. And as someone, or since it came out, I should say, and as someone who played through GTA 3 and San Andreas on that definitive edition, I've got to say, it was still absolutely in an absolutely shocking state as recently as this year.
Yeah.
So that's welcome, obviously, but the big news is that they have scrubbed the name from the start. It is still in the credits at the end, Grove Street Games.
It is.
But understandable. I think that, what's his name here?
Thomas Williamson.
Thomas Williamson. Here's the quote. Speaking entirely hypothetically, it's a dick move to remove primary developers from credits in an update, especially when an update includes hundreds of fixes that were provided by those developers that stayed out of players' hands for years, he writes on Twitter.
So this comes, it's an interesting thing because they recently unfollowed, the Grove Street Games recently unfollowed Rockstar on Twitter.
It is drama. And they're called Grove Street Games as well, which is just it's a San Andreas reference.
Absolutely. So this is very interesting because obviously it's not a very nice thing to do to remove a developer's name from the beginning, especially given that, I mean, the game came out in a bad state, but it still came out and, they still put effort into it. Some would question how much effort.
A lot of AI in there, but
But they have also said that his team is behind the hundreds of fixes in the latest version, and implies that they stayed out of players' hands for years, implying that they were ready to go with these fixes earlier, but these fixes didn't happen.
A lot of things insinuated, and Rockstar have an army of lawyers as well, so I'm surprised that
That's
he's
why
speaking
he's put
so
hypothetically.
Yeah, that
at the beginning
will protect him.
That's safe. That is safe because he has no idea who he was actually talking about. Yeah, this is very interesting. I'm glad that the game is kind of getting fixed.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever be able to quite fix it. It still looks the way it looks,
Yeah.
so there's no fixing that, I don't think. But it's interesting that this is coming out now and that he's been very vocal about this. So obviously there's been some breakdown in relationship between Rockstar and Grove Street Games.
I can sort of understand that because I imagine Rockstar were bloody furious at the state of the game and the reception to it.
But it's not like they were completely hands-off, uninvolved with this situation.
What I was going to say. I think ultimately it is entirely Rockstar's fault because they're the ones who got
Hypothetically entirely
Rockstar's fault. They're the ones who recruited Grove Street Games to it. They're the ones who said, yes, it's ready now, let's do it. And they're the ones who hypothetically prevented some of these fixes from coming out for so many years. They are ultimately the ones who made all of the decisions here. And yes, Grove Street Games did a dreadful job.
They did.
And they were raked across the coals for it, and rightly so. However, removing their name from the start, I don't think it's not a good look for anyone.
No, I don't think so either. Well, from a trilogy now to a few of the many TV shows that are coming out in the next however long that have recently been announced. We've got 3 TV show updates, and 2 of which are potential stars of the show.
We might know some casting.
Yes, so Lara Croft, which is a TV show that's coming out on Prime, being written and produced by Phoebe Waller-Bridges, who we know from Fleabag.
She's great.
Fantastic.
And she's a big fan of Tomb Raider as well.
She is absolutely a huge fan. Apparently, that TV show is set to star Sophie Turner. Now, this isn't confirmed, I don't believe. It's just very much like she's set to be in it. Maybe. So we'll have to see if this comes out with some level of confirmation. There's been rumours kind of on and off for the last few months about who's going to be Lara Croft. Every now and then a new name enters the race. A bit like James Bond.
Right.
When it's like, oh, this guy's going to be James Bond now. Now it's a bit like that, but it's Tomb Raider. This is for the girlies. This is the girlies James Bond. But we think it's going to be Sophie Turner now, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
She's a very talented actress.
She is.
And she's English, which some of them, the suggestions were American, and I have nothing against American actors doing English roles. However, sometimes the accents are a little bit wonky.
It can be a bit ropey. Yeah.
So,
I'd be excited if it was Sophie Turner, for sure. I obviously enjoyed her, and lots of people got to know her in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And then she was in X-Men. What's she been doing recently, do you know?
getting divorced from her husband, Joe Jonas.
Right.
Mainly doing that, I think, for a bit.
That's understandable. That's a thing that sucks.
Yeah.
So
he's a dick.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
So yeah, that would be really cool. Are you excited at the prospect of a Lara Croft TV show?
I absolutely am. I love Lara Croft. I haven't watched the new animated TV show. This is the live action TV show, I should say, because there's an animated one that came out recently. I haven't watched that, but I do like Lara Croft, and I am excited because I do also love Phoebe Waller-Bridges. And she's got quite a cool quote about the project.
Okay.
She said, "There's room to something really quite dangerous, and if I can do something dangerous and exciting with Tomb Raider, I already have an audience of people who love Lara and hopefully will continue to. And that is a very unusual position to be in. It's the old Trojan horse." So she's like willing to take some risks with Lara Croft and Tomb Raider series, which I think is great.
You know what I think she should do?
What?
She should have Lara Croft be a T-Rex.
Yeah.
With the guns.
And then a big woman.
Yes. In the cave, she hunts to extinction big women.
Big women.
Yeah, wearing cargo shorts.
That's a good idea.
I think that's what she... And I want the T-Rex to be backflipping with the dual pistols. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I think that would be brave.
I think that's exactly what she's going to do. That's what I'm reading into that quote, and that's what she said.
That's what she's saying.
It's the old Trojan T-Rex. It's actually
confirmed.
The official quote.
It's happening.
Also something else.
Yes.
Which is a big maybe, big question mark.
Huge maybe, but we still made it a
hilarious,
thumbnail.
I really hope that it's true.
Yeah.
The Mass Effect TV show, Ben.
Yes. Speaking of things that you love, two things that I love, both the Mass Effect and also the John Cena, who may star as Commander Shepard in this show.
Yeah.
So this is actually happening, not necessarily John Cena, but the Mass Effect TV show is genuinely happening from Amazon, written by Fast and Furious's Daniel Casey, which I'm a little bit concerned about because I don't really know how that's going to go. The connections, though, are that Daniel Casey has obviously worked with John Cena on the Fast and Furious franchise, and that Cena started randomly posting Mass Effect art on his Instagram story very soon after the TV show was announced to be in the works. So this could mean literally anything.
Yeah.
And there's been some consternation from fans. Personally, I don't care because I think John Cena's great, and I enjoy the acting chops of John Cena. I think he's also a great comedic actor as well as I think he can probably do serious stuff as well. I enjoy John Cena, but some people are concerned that Commander Shepard obviously is a blank slate.
Yeah.
And you make the decision, so how if they do have Commander Shepard starring, how are they going to do that?
Commander Shepard, and this may be incorrect, was canonically a woman.
I think I don't know if it's canonically a woman. The male Shepard's first name canonically is John. I know that much.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
But
I might be misremembering.
You may well be right, and that's another thing people are also worried about, that if they are going to do a Commander Shepard story, a lot of people would prefer it be Femme Shep instead of male Shepard.
Yeah.
But regardless, I am very interested in seeing what happens with the Mass Effect TV show.
Yeah. This could be nonsense, by the way, from John Cena, because his Instagram is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Like, he has been known to post things like, he posted Kai Cenat before going on his stream, and like he kind of out of context posts stuff all the time that like may reference things he's doing. So he could just be really excited that they're making a Mass Effect TV show, but he also could be Commander Shepard. So we'll have to wait and find out.
I hope he's Commander Shepard.
Yeah.
I hope he just shows up in one episode as Commander Shepard, and that's it.
And the next episode it's a different actor.
Sure, why not? Let's just go crazy.
Yeah. And the last thing, we've not got any news about this really, but Sam Lake's been talking about the Remedy TV shows and movies, the Alan Wake TV show and the Control movie, or the other way around. I can't remember which one's which at the moment. But he said that they're very early, but they are in the works, and he's very excited. So we'll see. I'm so interested to see what they do with these movies, because those games make no sense unless you are a Mensa genius.
Yes.
So
they are bonkers and confusing.
Yeah. I mean, Alan Wake's already halfway to being a TV show anyway, I think. So.
It is. I think that the hard work's been done, really. But very little information on that as yet. But 3 exciting video game projects in the works that we may or may not have some more concrete details about very soon. Finally. And there's a lot to cover here. Bloody Phil
has been going around talking to flipping everyone about everything. We've got 3 different interviews he's done this week. One with Jason Schreier, one with Rolling Stone, and one with Stephen Totilo at GameFile, all regarding various different things, but some overlap. You may have seen earlier on in the week that his interview with Jason Schreier went out, and he talked about a potential Xbox handheld that's a few years away. He talked about the state of their business being good now, and also talked about the fact that there was no red line when it comes to putting their games on other consoles.
And also buyouts. He wants to do more buyouts at some point.
He wants to expand into Asia and buy some new places in Asia.
Please slow down, Phil.
Please, Phil.
Please leave some businesses for the rest of us.
But then after all that broke, then he was like, I'm not done.
I've got more to say.
Let me up to someone else. So then he started speaking to Rolling Stone, didn't he, about the future of Xbox consoles.
Yes. So he said, we'll definitely do more consoles in the future, Spencer confirmed, and other devices. Other devices probably meaning the handheld that he alluded to. But there's been some, questions raised about whether or not they would be backing out potentially of the hardware situation. In terms of maybe the next console being the last one, or maybe not even doing another console, and just especially what's their new slogan that they're doing?
This is an Xbox.
This is an Xbox, which is them really trying to push the fact that actually you can access Game Pass on a whole load of devices and also game streaming to cloud gaming.
It's also getting mad memed on.
It is getting dumped on, yes, because it is a bit confusing because it strictly speaking, it's not an Xbox, but from what he said, they do actually want to make
an Xbox.
They do want to make another Xbox, an actual box. But yes, given their approach to trying to get Game Pass on literally everything, people have been wondering whether or not they would do one, and it sounds like they are.
Yes, and they also asked him regarding mid-generation console upgrades. We're talking about PlayStation Pro type situation, and he has said, which I think is quite funny, we think about hardware that can create unique value for our players or creators on our platform. We don't need to do incremental hardware for our own benefit.
Okay, so what was the 1X?
He means now, Ben. He means now.
Okay, yeah, not last time.
Last time. This time.
Don't worry about it. I mean, I'm as I have about as much interest in the PS5 Pro as the next person, which is not a lot. Scalpers cannot sell them. No one wants them. Some people want them, and I'm happy for you. But I do understand why they would skip a mid-gen. If you're already tailing in terms of hardware sales to your competitors, why on earth would you dilute the waters? And what the hell would they call it?
Yes.
The Series X
Plus.
XL?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's massive. It's the size of a fridge.
Just even bigger. Yeah.
And then he also went on to speak to Stephen Totilo at GameFile regarding the games that are coming out soon and the game library and all that stuff. Speaking specifically on how this year's lineup has been pretty PC heavy, and he wanted to clarify this is historical. There might always be some anomalies, but I look at those 3 as an anomaly. We want our games playable across as many screens as possible, which is the kind of thing that they really want to hit home at the moment.
This is an Xbox.
We think about the Xbox platform as an Xbox console, PC and cloud. We want all the games playable across all 3. We want them to be play anywhere, as we know. So there has been a lot of PC forward games this year, but apparently that is not necessarily going to become the new normal, and there will still be plenty of games coming out on other hardware, not just consoles, on all kinds of places.
Yeah. And the final small thing that he also mentioned, he was just talking about expansions for games, and I think he just echoed, he's so down to earth. Salt of the earth is old Phil. He's just like us. Just talking about how he doesn't like expansions that are manipulative. I wanted to have a unique point of view. I don't want it to be like the 3rd level that you cut before you launched.
Love that.
That's a nice thing to hear, especially, they've had Shattered Space out recently from Starfield, and that didn't go so well, but no one can say that was content that was cut. They clearly worked for a long time on that. So that's nice to hear from the top level that is the approach that he would personally like to see, even if he does admit that ultimately it's down to team's creative direction and decision, whether or not they do that.
I love the way that Microsoft handle information like distribution, because if this was Sony, we'd get a blog post no one would talk about.
The towering concrete monolith, a little flap would open at the front and a piece of paper would just be slid out and then they'd shut it down again.
And then someone would that's it, you've done it, you've heard the news.
And Jason Schreier would elbow everyone out of the way and grab it first.
Exactly.
And then he'd stand on a little crate and he'd yell it to everyone else.
Whereas Xbox, and specifically Phil Spencer, will talk to everyone.
It
doesn't matter who, he's gonna be there. He loves to yap. Loves it. So that's how we find out all about Xbox.
Actually.
It is quite refreshing. I wish that PlayStation would be a lot more candid with what's going on in their big concrete monolith, because we're all confused and none of us quite know what's happening. So
it does make it a bit difficult to keep up with what they've officially spoken about, though, because this is the third set of headlines, or the second or third set of headlines this week. They're breaking as the week's gone on. Speaking of the first major stories that we discussed about the handheld and acquiring more studios and more Xbox games on other platforms, we talk in way more detail about that on this week's podcast. That'll be out tomorrow. If you go to triplejump.mp/podcast, you can find us, or search TripleJump Pods. And of course, stay tuned to our socials all throughout the week where we post news stories. We're on Blue Sky now as well. Team TripleJump, you should be able to find us nice and easily if you want to keep up with daily news as it happens. And we will continue to collate them in video form as well for you throughout the week.
All right, well, see you around, I guess.
Yeah, have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.